following fireside chat, we'll talk about the future to come, the innovations to expect, and where is this all digital trend really going. So I'm introducing the next topic, future scenarios and innovations in the digital field. And I'm inviting to the stage the moderator, Siliņš. Pauls has worked alongside teams within the startup ecosystem, the teams of TechChill, TechHub Riga and Helve, helping to support the startup ecosystem and organize events throughout of them. He's also the co-creator of Riga TechGirls. So welcome, Pauls. And joining us virtually, I will invite the speaker, Vytautas Kubilius, the country manager at Baltics. Outside of Google, he serves as a board member in a number of startups and organizations. He's a co-founder of a startup accelerator and invests into startups as an angel investor. Welcome both.
So, hi Vytautas. And I guess since we only have 25 minutes, we should get right to it. And yeah, during the past 2 years, we've been through quite a lot, but we are not here to talk about the pandemic. Another thing that we had to get used to during these years was the digital field. For some of us, it was already part of our everyday lives. For others, it was a brand new frontier. And yeah, we had to grow used to such tools as Zoom, Slack, StreamYard, which became suddenly so popular, as well as Zoom. And of course, there was the rise and fall of Clubhouse, and all tools that Google creates and provides. And yeah, all of these things became hugely popular and used, because we had to get used to them. So considering that the pandemic probably is gonna disappear at some point, hopefully, and we are gonna return to something called normal life, I guess. We're kind of there already. The question is, what are your expectations regarding the upcoming years? Which of these tools will remain, which will disappear into oblivion, and maybe why? Why do you think so?
Sure. Well, first of all, good to see you, Pauls, and thank you so much for having me. Really good to see such a big event happening. I wish I could be there in person. Honestly, my very last event just before the pandemic was TechChill in Riga, which was amazing event and really good memories. But coming back to your question, I mean, obviously, despite that we want or don't want to talk about the pandemic, we have to acknowledge that the pandemic had an immense impact on the acceleration of digital technologies and the adoption of digital technologies, right? So if you think, like, if this would have happened 10 years ago, I'm not entirely certain if we would be in a situation that we are in right now, where economically countries look quite okay, where we were able to continue the work, where we were able to continue the learning process. So, and a lot of that really came from the, from the adoption of digital technologies, of the smartphones, of the telecommunication that we were able to use for continuing the work. So I'm fairly certain that a lot of that will remain. Like, I'm one of those people who used to travel. I used to have 100+ flights a year. And honestly, I am unable to think right now, how the hell did I manage to manage my life, to be honest, because right now I'm as busy as ever. I really feel super productive. I feel like I'm able to tackle more projects than I used to. And I don't know if I would be able to once again, wake up at 5 in the morning to go to a meeting in Hamburg, to have a lunch, to fly back, to still continue doing my emails. So, I think we really rethought a little bit our priorities and the way we work. And there are a lot of researches now that show a good uptick in productivity. There are obviously the downsides just as well. So, we see that people are feeling fatigue, the Zoom fatigue, the meeting fatigue. We see as well that the team morale can be challenging, that it really takes an effort to keep people involved and engaged. There are a lot of people who have never seen their teammates because they joined a company during the pandemic. So there are these challenges. Women, for example, now a recent study is showing that women have a much stronger online video conferencing fatigue. So this will need to be addressed. So my thinking generally is this, that we are going to go into some sort of hybrid new normal, right? I'm fairly certain that this 9 to 5 work in the office, you need to show up, you need to come in time, you need to leave in time. This is gone. In majority of the companies, this is really gone, because there is so much more focus now on teamwork, on productivity, on understanding if we are able to continue to work as a dispersed team. And most of the answers seem to be showing yes, we can. So in terms of specific tools, we already see some consolidation. Like Slack was acquired by Salesforce, and I think that we will see more of that. There are so many great tools, but the experience is a little bit disjointed, because you need to continuously swap between different tools. So I think there is going to be a lot of integration, and I think there is going to be some acquisitions probably. So my vision of the future of productivity is going to be, this is your office, and you are able to quickly assess and access pretty much everything. So you can reach out to your team, you can see the calendar schedules, you can jump on a call easily, you can see the shared documents, you can send stuff to your customers, you can present to your customers, and you can do that on the go. So that's where I think it's heading. That I think we are still in fairly early stages, where we have experimented, we tried what we prefer as our new business normal. And I think we are going to pick the right choices, and we are going to, really polish the user experience in the coming years.
Okay, thank you. Well, you already touched upon kind of looking in the future regarding the hybrid events, and that everything would be in the palm of your hand. But maybe you have something more to add. In this case, I just wanted you to take out your crystal ball, shake it up a bit, and look into the foggy thing, and tell me, what do you see? What new solutions might appear? Some things that, well, we don't have currently, but maybe down the line we will have them. And maybe you already know of something that is in the works. Maybe Google has some specific directions, however much you can tell about that, probably not that much, but yeah, maybe some directions where it might be heading.
Well, good question. And look, I remember, I don't know who was saying that, but someone was really coining a nice phrase that's saying, business forecasting is essentially made so that the astrology looks good then. It's extremely difficult to predict anything. Obviously, again, no one anticipated what is happening, how it's happening. But I think there are, some directions are fairly clear, at least in my mind. So first of all, I'm, what is it now, 25 plus probably years in some shape and form. I'm with internet companies and technologies, and I still think we are quite in an early stage. I don't know, let's say this is internet 2.0 or 3.0. I think there are going to be many more versions of that. So I'm fairly certain that we're going to see more technological advancements coming into our life in a helpful, in a smart way. So that's one thing that I'm really fairly certain to predict about. And again, we've seen that during those couple of years, well, not full couple of years, different estimations are saying, anywhere between 5 to 15 years of advancement of technologies and adoption of technologies in the companies, in the personal life, in the societies. So I think this will definitely continue. There is a reason why this happened, and why people, took this adoption quite close to heart. Where I am seeing probably the most changes is, first of all, e-commerce. So clearly, e-commerce really was, front and center during the pandemic. So we saw more than double the amount of traffic globally coming to e-commerce sites. We saw Baltics, again, the numbers vary, but it looks like plus 70% in e-commerce shoppers across the Baltics. So really a lot of people tried for the very first time, potentially, to buy stuff online. I mean, look at all of the investments now coming from the grocery delivery companies. So I'm fairly certain that we'll see a lot of advancement there. And again, thinking about the experience, it does feel a little bit outdated, if you will. I mean, there is a lot of room for improvement there. And I think that we are going to see e-commerce investing heavily in more lifelike, if you will, experiences. I think we're going to see augmented reality going forward even further. I mean, we see already a lot of that. Again, you can take an app, you can take a furniture, and you can see whether that furniture fits into your room nicely. You can measure and all of that. So I think we're going to see quite a few of those examples going further. So and really my bet is a lot on augmented reality, which I find fascinating, and I really think that there is a lot of room for adoption of that technology. So that would be perhaps my one one direction. And I think that physical stores as well are going to be changing. Again, we see some new health habits forming in people's behavior. So cashless registers, people checking it, checking out themselves. I think there is going to be more of that. Again, retailers are going to be delivering more personalized experiences to people. Another direction which I really hope is going to pan out. So this is my personal wish list, and I think we really need a wave of innovation in the healthcare system. So we saw how much that this was the front line of the battle, and as well somewhat the link that we really wish that it wouldn't break, and hope it stayed unbroken, and hopefully it will stay that way. But like telemedicine, consulting with doctors online, and going from finding the diseases and cures to really preventing them. This is, I think, is going to, where the world, the humanity is going to have to take a big step forward. And despite such companies like who are back now again on the press, like Theranos, I think like blood testing is an amazing area where you can get so much valuable data, and people can really take charge of their health. They can really become much more aware about themselves, not by going to a doctor because something is really broken, or you are a smart person and you are doing once a year a health checkup. I really think that there is a possibility to constantly monitor your health, to be much more aware of what is happening with you and what you can do about that, to be able to access doctors much easier, much more conveniently, not signing up for a queue in 2 weeks, but actually finding the best doctors available for this particular question and getting to a conversation with them easily, and then getting a clear path to what's next. How can you integrate new habits? How can you integrate new, food consumption, or if you need to take some prescriptions and then get the medicine. So I think this will be, I hope this will be much more digital in the coming years. And again, lots and lots of startups in this space, lots of very promising companies. So I'm fairly confident that something will pop there.
Well, yeah, let's hope that it happens soon enough so that we can already enjoy such tools and solutions. And well, as you mentioned, startups, they are the ones that are also driving this innovation. But it's not just startups, it's also these big companies like, let's say, Facebook and, well, of course, Google. And one of the things that fascinates me about Google is its program or project that I think it started in 2010, correct me if I'm wrong, the Google X Moonshot Factory. Basically, as I understand it, it's a place where just Google writes off a lot of money for moonshot ideas. And that, I think, is absolutely fascinating, that a huge company like this who can afford it, and they actually do that. And from there, maybe some of the ideas fail. Maybe some of them will become the next things we use all around. So maybe you can go a bit deeper about Moonshot Factory.
Sure. And look, I mean, I'm with you on this. I'm 10 years with Google, and really this is the part that still excites me like nothing else. I really love that there is this mentality within the company, the mentality of helping to reshape the humanity and to really help achieve something that is generally considered to be unachievable. So, why is it called Moonshot Factory? What is a moonshot? Moonshot is exactly this, something that generally would be considered to be impossible to do, right? So if you ask anyone, can we do this? The answer is no, this is just nonsense. So you cannot do that. So this is the idea behind this Moonshot Factory. It was founded by one of the Google co-founders, so Sergey Brin, and he was heading that division for quite a long time. So their idea is to gather the best people in the industry and essentially write them a blank check saying, hey, here is a massive issue potentially, or a big unsolved thing. Can you find a solution that is different? And I remember I was attending a presentation by the head of the Google X division, so Astro Teller, a scientist and long-term Googler, and he was saying how he thinks about the mentality of the Google X, that if you would, let's say, take a car, right, and the average fuel consumption, let's say, is, well, I don't know, what is it now, like 7 liters per 100 kilometers, and if you would tell a bunch of super smart people in the room, we need to get it down to 2 liters per 100 kilometers, right? So they would go into deconstruct the car, would look into the engine, would look into all of the components, figure out where can you trim a little bit of fat, where can you make it a little bit more efficient. So you do this little gradual sort of improvement. Instead, what Google X is trying to do, they are immediately putting the challenge to those smart people in the room, saying, how about instead of 6 liters per 100 kilometer, can you make it 1 liter per 1,000 kilometers? Because then you cannot really think from this traditional standpoint. You cannot really just try and take the engine apart and just tweak it a little bit. You really need to come up with a completely different solution. So that's also the reason why I really love Google X. And yes, it is fortunate that Google has the ability to write these blank checks and really come up with solutions without having a clear business idea. Essentially, if we can figure this out, something good will come out for the humanity, probably something good will come out for the company as well in the long term. And it has proven to be, so far, there are some success cases as well. There are some failures, and Google is not afraid to fail and to shut down some of those projects, saying we found some obstacles that we couldn't overcome, or we found some good information that we're going to use elsewhere, and maybe we'll share that and help others to overachieve it, to achieve those goals. But there are a couple of projects as well that came out of Google X so far. So we probably know Waymo, the Google autonomous cars. So this has graduated the Google X, and that it has become a separate company. There is Makani Wind, a company that was looking into wind turbines, but not in a traditional sense, but wanted to find ways to save on metal, because there is like tons and tons of metal going into building the wind turbines. So instead, they build a plane on a retractable metal that you can attach pretty much to skyscrapers or to the ground, and the planes are going in circles and they are generating just as much wind. So really cool, interesting ideas, and there are some new projects that are very exciting. So from a company called Mineral, looking into worldwide food production. The thesis there is that out of 30,000 plants that are edible in the world, we are actually cultivating for food production only 1% of that. Can we find new species of plants or of fruit that we could efficiently grow? Because again, food demand is growing globally. There is another company, Tidal, that is looking into the deep seas and oceans. Roughly half of the global population is relying on seafood as their main nutrition. At the same time, 90% of the fisheries are depleted, and this is going to become a massive issue very, very soon. So also looking into how to be more sustainable around our ocean resources. So really, really cool and very big challenges. But this is also the DNA of Google. Generally, there are more projects. So we have an internal sort of accelerator called Area 120, where people with ideas can apply and join, and they can sort of spin new companies. There are, as well, people are invited to join if they want to join some project that they are interested in. And also, Googlers are generally very much encouraged to have this so-called 20% projects, so where you can dedicate part of your time for developing new crazy ideas. So you have the blessing from the company and then the managers to really go out there and try to solve problems or find new solutions that can be helpful.
Well, I do hope such mentality will flow over to other companies as well, because that's definitely, I think, the right way to do it. So so far we've talked about what's relevant right now and where it's heading, and what might come, and where such things are made, where they come from. For instance, yes, Google X or the Moonshot Factory. But how can the people here in the audience or watching online drive innovation in the digital field? How can we leave our mark? You also mentioned startups, so maybe that's a way.
Oh, absolutely. Look, and this is, I'm super passionate about the startups, and we are living in very, very interesting times in the Baltics, and I think everyone is clearly noticing what is happening. Lots of companies raising money, attracting talent, building awesome cultures, and congrats to Latvia for getting the first unicorn. Definitely not the last one. I can imagine at least one or maybe two already in the next couple of years joining the ranks. So really, really cool. And honestly, if I would be at this moment 25 or 30 years old, I would be amazed with the career and life opportunities that are present to me. So I think joining a startup is something that people should definitely consider. Once they're done with the university, done with a couple internships, I think joining a startup is such a cool and quick way to gain a lot of knowledge, because you're joining a team that is trying exactly to solve some big problem, to find new ways to change people's lives in a measurable way. So I think that's a great opportunity to really gain a lot of knowledge fast, and at the same time perhaps become financially independent quite early on in your life if you succeed to join a company and you help that company to become successful. And while I hear some people making interesting observations that are we going into a startup bubble, are the valuations too high, is this the real economy? Generally, within Baltic populations, there is the general sort of question: are startups actually good, or are they just wasting money away? But I don't see it that way. I'm really close to the startup ecosystem, and I see a lot of companies. I see a lot of investment funds, and I think we are on quite stable ground. I mean, there is a very good financial reason why those companies are receiving investments, because there is revenue, there is growth, there is actual business, and people just need to understand that startups who are losing money, this is not necessarily bad. This means that they are able to use the investors' money in a wise way. If you are a startup and you are early on producing profits, this means you don't have ideas what to do next and how to expand. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Another angle is as well, which wasn't present at my time when I was finishing university, and I realized this career path only after joining Google, is joining the consultancies. And again, in Latvia, you have massive centers of global consultancy companies. And this is an opportunity to join a well-structured company with a very clear understanding how to help to grow the talent. And you are helping other companies. You are helping other companies to find solutions. You are helping them to digitize. You are helping them to transform. So this is a very fast way as well of getting structured knowledge. And when I look at Google or Facebook or TikTok for that matter, a very sizable proportion of people joining the companies are coming from the consultants. And again, that's maybe the third way for you to think is to join Google or or Facebook or Amazon or TikTok, because these are still, startup-ish kind of culture. At the same time, more mature, very good understanding how to help the young talent to grow. There is so much focus. Me as a manager, I'm spending probably majority of my time learning how to mentor, how to coach young people, how to help them build out their careers. And then these young people are able to help thousands and thousands of our customers, companies across the board, companies, the coolest companies from the Baltics, who are growing, who are going international, who are helping our economies and our societies to bring revenues and to bring good culture back homeland.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, we are currently running already out of time. And so I guess the takeaway here is don't be afraid, join a startup or create your own, or join the bigger companies such as Google. And yeah, it was a real pleasure talking to you, Vytautas, and I hope the audience also enjoyed our discussion. And well, then see you around. Thank you for joining us.
Likewise, thank you so much. I hope to be back in Riga really soon. Thank you.